Center, single back is Gibbs. Goff turn, gives it to Jameer, to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions. That's the way you make a statement on the road on Monday night to start a football game, straight down the field to the end zone. It is 2nd and goal from the 1. Goff out of the gun, hands it to Montgomery, tries the left side, did not get in. It's going to be 3rd and goal from inside the 1. There, they say he did get in. Late call. There it is. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Better late than never. Out of the gun. Jackson's got it. Running to his right. Wants to throw. Now being pressured. Ball's loose on the ground. It is recovered by Jackson, but it does not matter. That's Lions football. A 4th down stop by this team. Jackson tried to roll out, had a run-pass option, and Jack Campbell was there to knock that ball loose. That is a big-time stop by that defense. Lions show 4 across the front. There's the snap. Jackson back, looking right. Pressure comes. Jackson still looking.
Yeah, 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there?
You might not hear me, but you're gonna be feeling it real soon.
The podcast. Shout out to Rockhound Detroit Lions, man. My pride.
Rise and Grind Morning Show is the best podcast in the world. Meek Robinson.
All right, it is Hot Mic Wednesdays, just like it was Hot Take Tuesdays. Oh, wait, is it Taco Tuesdays? I forget. Or maybe it's over under Mondays reactions. Remember we used to do that? Remember we used to do over under reactions? Long time ago? I'll digress. I'm not even going to waste the space today. Good morning. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show, where you get nothing but original, raw, and real content each and every day. And you always choose to rock with the real Rockhound Detroit Lions. And it's Wednesday. And it's the day after the trade deadline. And I just got to say, a lot of you are happy and a lot of you are pissed off. Some of you are happy because you expect the Detroit Lions to go win and do the job that they started and finish it. And some of you are you know, kind of pissed off because, well, the Lions didn't do anything yesterday. They brought in a practice squad guy. And so there's a lot of questions. And we're going to try to maybe dispel a little bit of the rumors this morning. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what happened throughout the NFL. We'll be right back in 17 seconds.
Pressure by Hutchinson. He goes down again.
All right. Good morning, Eric. What's happening, man?
Good morning. I am so happy to finally be past November 4th at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
F that day. I can't stand it. I hate it. I've been telling you for months, we're not going to trade anybody. Nothing's going to happen. If we were to trade anybody, it was going to be for a backup quarterback or some stupid position that no one was thinking of. And we didn't. We did exactly what I said. No trades. We're fine. We're going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, my whole theory on the trades has been the same for, I mean, the better part of a decade. You know, there was a time where I was in that same boat, probably when I used to play Madden, so maybe more than 15 years ago. Like you kind of get into that idea of you could just build whatever team that you want to build, and it's just not reality, right? It's not realistic. And I think that the Lions just proved, and this may be a bold take, which the bold take would be Brad went out and signed Aiden Hutchinson to maybe calm the waters before the trade deadline, knowing that before the trade deadline he probably wasn't going to do anything unless something really went awry, you know, on Sunday, which it kind of did, and he still didn't do anything. But anyway, I was in that same boat of, yeah, you need to go build, you know, the best team you can and go all in now, push all the chips to the middle. And then I started to grow up a little bit. And I don't mean that negatively, but my thinking started to grow. And it was, okay, try to apply it to life. Like, would you just go all in and make like the biggest risk of your life on one opportunity? Some people will, but then others have to think about, I got a family, I got kids, I got mortgage payments, I got college tuition, I got people that depend on me. If I do this and I lose, what happens to all those people? Right? I let all of them down. And so for Brad Holmes to consider all of that, and Dan Campbell to consider all of that and say, look, I would rather take a swing at next year and know that we have the funds to keep the guys that we want to keep. And we're still playing good this year. Like, if you look around the league, there's not a clear number one team right now. There really isn't. And I say that as a Lions fan first, but I'm also saying that as an NFL fan. There's really not a clear number one right now. And I think that all of the teams have played poorly. And then all of the teams have played great at times. The Lions are in the thick of it right now. They are making every opportunity count. They blew one on Sunday, right? They blew one on week 1. But then again, so have other teams. And yeah, the Lions have some injuries, but I got to tell you, and I haven't gone and looked at this, and I should have before today. What is the injury situation now versus last year? I know that we're in a much better situation right now than we were last year. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But are we in a better depth, position as well? And I would say yes. I would say that we are. So for Dan and Brad to push it all in and say, you know what, we're going to go out and sign that $20 million left tackle that we really may not need. I mean, Taylor Decker could be fine in a week or 2, right? We don't know that. He may just play through the rest of the year the way that it is. For a lot of us, it's like, okay, we need to get someone in for Decker. That was my only call, was that if we're going to do anything, we're going to do offensive line, and that's it. And that was before all the injuries on Sunday. That was the biggest need for me, was to secure the offensive line, because without the offensive line, we don't win football games. As good as the defense played on Sunday, they still made a lot of mistakes. You can't allow teams to score 27 points. You just can't. But that's partly because of the offense too. So before I get too deep, my thought process was push all the chips in, go for it. And then I saw teams do that, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. How many teams have gone out and been, the headline winner, like Brad Holmes likes to talk, about? He says the headline winners in March and April, are they winning in February? No. How about the headline winner at the beginning of November, end of October? Are they winning in February? How many of them? So what we just witnessed, how many of these teams legit have a shot to go all the way? We'll break it down this morning, and we'll have a conversation about it. We're also going to bring in Dan Campbell's audio from yesterday and hear what he said yesterday. I was going to do it last night. I was going to jump in last night. I actually visited, which is rare for me. I never get a chance to listen to anybody. But I visited Chat Sports yesterday and listened to Mike Kimber for a little bit. He was doing an afternoon show or late morning show or something like that. Trade deadline stuff. And as the time just waned on and I'm sitting here working, doing other stuff, I just didn't have time to do it. And just listening to what everyone was saying and reading some of the comments, man, there is such a clear divide in this fan base. I guess it's expected. I think all fan bases are like that, so we're not unique. But there's a lot of hate in this fan base, a lot of angry people, and I don't get that either. Like, we've been gifted an amazing team, and the only reason why we have this amazing team is because of the exact blueprint. And I'm not saying that I know everything, because I don't. All of these guys did everything before me, right? Just like the other 135 million other YouTube channels have all done stuff before me, and everybody else that is in this space right now, they've all done it before you. So I laid out a blueprint 3 years ago, and I tried to explain to fans my take. Draft, develop, re-sign. And you continue doing that for at least 4 seasons. I have plenty of receipts on it. 4 seasons, you get through 4 years, and you have essentially 28 draft picks that you could have had, whether you've used them all or not, traded some, got more, got less. but that is enough to fill your top 25. And then after that and during that, it's all about depth. And if you can start to marry those two up, man, you have a team that will have sustained success if the guys you chose stay healthy and actually can play the game of football. Well, for the majority of the guys that we brought in, a lot of them have stayed healthy. Everyone gets banged up a little bit. But man, these guys can play football. So we are winning at the end of the day. We are winning. And we are right where I thought that we would be. Yes, we had a better chance in 2023. The NFL stars aligned for us that we were able to go deep into the postseason. Everything aligned that year. We won games that we shouldn't have won. Last year, we won a lot of games we shouldn't have won. Nobody thought we were going to win except for this guy. And I know Eric did too. But I thought that we were going to be just fine. And then, you know, when the bottom falls out, the bottom falls out. But then this year happens and we're expecting everything to line up together. And it doesn't. You know, it doesn't because of injuries again. It doesn't because it just doesn't. But that doesn't mean that we can't go all the way. We finally have one of the best defenses in the league. We still have one of the best offenses in the league. And so my first question back to you, Eric, is going to be this before we get into the trade deadline stuff. Is John Morton holding us back? Do you think it's all on JM?
I think everyone's overreacting. Now,
Oh,
sitting
hold on. Be careful. Make sure you be careful using that word. Over. You can't say the word overreacting. Oh wait, it's Wednesday. It's not Monday. Never mind. Go ahead.
All right. So, sitting in the stands, I wanted to pull my hair out. All these -2 yard, -1 yard, behind the line of scrimmage, little bubble screen bullshit. It was pissing me off. I was getting so mad, screaming, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. You didn't even hardly try to run the ball. And when you did, you're running it off the left side with Mahogany and Decker, and it's getting crushed every single time. But the 2 or 3 times they ran it off the right side with Penei Sewell and Ratledge, guess what happened? You had David Montgomery bust one for 11 yards. You had Jahmyr Gibbs bust one for 7 yards. But all the other times they ran behind someone else and it went for nothing, and they stopped running the ball and started throwing these stupid bubble screens on 3rd and 15, and it just drove me nuts. Where is the balance? And this whole starting Jahmyr Gibbs on every game and trying to have him be the feature back is not working. Go back to what worked. You put David Montgomery in, you soften up the defense, and then you put Jahmyr Gibbs in. And I don't care if they go every other whatever. They can go every other play for all I care. But put in David Montgomery first. He gets the tough yards. And then let's do something new. Let's throw the ball across the line of scrimmage and get it to someone, let's say JMO 5 yards down the field. You want to get him more involved, which you did, but you only threw one pass to him that was within 5 to 10 yards, and he got a first down out of it. You know, he went for 11 or 12 yards, and I just don't get it. You know, now he goes on the radio talking, Dan Campbell does this week, about how he wants to get Isaac Tesla and Khalif Raymond more involved on 3rd down and the other downs. Well, yeah, Tesla was out there for a bunch of plays, especially when Amon-Ra came out of the game, and they didn't even sniff him. They didn't even look at him. There was a couple times he's standing there like this, give me the ball, and nothing. Why? Because Jared Goff was laying on his behind, because they couldn't figure out how 2 crossing linebackers could leak through the line and nobody blocks them. It's little stuff that needs to be cleaned up, and I think it's some basic play calling. And you know what? Dan Campbell does not have the longest leash in the world for this crap. So if Dan Morton can't get it together against the Washington Commanders, I see him making a change. Maybe he takes the play calling back and lets Morton come up with the plays, and he tells them what to run. I don't know. but something will change if this does not get fixed. And we're going up against the Washington Commanders, who have one of the worst pass defenses in the league. So the Lions should feast. Their wide receivers and everybody should feast, just like we should have feasted on the ground against the Vikings. So I don't know. Maybe we'll run the ball a whole bunch this weekend.
Maybe. I love this this comment in here by J-Man. He says, I heard Dr. Seuss has a version of his book called Morton Here's Who. First of all, I don't know if that's your statement. Make sure that you're the one that said that. You're not stealing that from somebody else. Make sure. As in, quote, who's coming for his Lions OC job? That's hilarious. Now, look, I'm not trying to make light or fun of John Morton, but I said it did I not say it, Eric, from the very beginning of the year?
Yeah.
That this dude up in the box could potentially be a problem. And my biggest problem, and I get it, we've had a couple of good games. Like, we beat up on a really bad Bears team. We caught them very early with their pants down in the beginning of the season as a new team that's trying to find their way, just like what happened to us in 2021 for 13 straight games or whatever it was. So we beat up on them. We've had a couple of good games this year. I'm going to put a lot of that on Jared Goff and his offensive weapons for knowing what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Right? Jared Goff killed a lot of plays on Sunday. A lot. And for whatever reason, I have not gone back to look at, okay, did he kill that play and then the play blows up? Or did he kill the play and the play worked? And the plays that he didn't kill, were those the plays that got blown up? I need to figure that out. But I guess
somebody in the chat, they're I'm sorry. They're talking about Jake Bates. Why aren't we talking about him? Jake Bates had nothing to do with his kick getting blocked.
Well, it was a little low.
That was the line getting completely blown up.
Yeah, I mean, the kick was a little low. Dan did say that. It was a little bit low, and Hogan Hatton did get blown up a little bit. So, look, those 3 points don't mean squat right now. I mean, yeah, it ties the game at the end of the day, potentially. That was before the JMO touchdown, right?
I was more pissed about no onside kick.
Well, that's so hard. It's so hard to get an onside kick now with the way that this is set up.
I take my chances with an onside kick versus our defense trying to stop them for 4 plays in a row.
I don't know, man. Our defense was playing good enough, but so here's what I'm going to start with. Number one, if you get this book, which I've read this book back to front, Football for Dummies, many, many, many years ago, and we just happened to find one. I don't know if we found it on Amazon or where we found it, but we found a used one. I found it. I bought it as a joke for Megan, but then I was using it as a prop for the show. So it goes in, like, in the introduction, it talks about foolish assumptions. And I'll let you run with that the way that you want to run with that. But foolish assumptions it talks about, you may not know much about football, but I know that you're no dummy. For whatever reason, you want or need to know more about football than you do now. You may be asking questions such as, well, why do they call it the gridiron anyway? Well, I guess if you use the word gridiron anywhere in your channel, that's probably not good, right? Because the gridiron's been used for 100+ years. Probably shouldn't use that word. Is the ball really made of pigskin, or is that an inside joke? How about, why do you get 6 points for a touchdown, but only 3 points for a field goal? Or does it really matter how all those guys line up on the field? Or does it really mean something when the officials do those funny signals with their arms? Or are they just bored out there? So all real questions that you're trying to answer with your foolish assumptions this morning, wondering what the hell Dan and Brad are doing, right? What's the foolish assumption of the day? Well, the foolish assumption of the day would be that they don't have a clue, right? Or maybe Horton Hears a Who, or whatever book that is, or Morton Hears a Who. My foolish assumption is this. I'm just going to assume that there's content creators or pundits or writers, journalists, myself included, that know more than Dan and Brad. That we know what's going on behind those hollowed walls of Allen Park. We don't. We really don't. We can assume. Some of us actually have people that we know in the league. Some of us actually have NFL credentials. By the way, Super Bowl just opened up. I applied. The assumption for me would be just that. We don't know what we don't know. Why is my TV on? You can't hear it, can you?
No.
I don't know why my TV's
Lauren says use the UFL 4th and 12 in the 4th, but it's 4th and 15, I believe, or 4th and 20, something like that. It's a really long 4th down play in the UFL.
the 4th and 15. They were talking about that earlier in the season. So my assumption is, or the foolish assumption of the day would be that we know, right? We know more than what we know, because we don't know what we don't know. But the one thing that's been definitive on this channel is that there wasn't going to be a trade unless it was absolutely necessary. And it was never going to be for an edge. Like, y'all just need to lose that word out of your vocabulary. It needs to disappear. I know that there's people pumping their chest and, fluffing out their feathers and showing their peacock to everybody. Yeah, it's all pomp and circumstance. The edge position has been fine. Like, how do we go from a top 17 team last year, right, to now what are we today? We were top 5 at one point.
For what?
Pass rush win rate and
I'm pretty sure we're right up there.
oh yeah, we've been right up there. I mean, we just had 5 sacks, which Aiden had 1, and we still put this guy on a pedestal. Look, we all love Aiden. We all love what he does, but I mean, everyone had a sack in this game. Aiden had 1, but you have to look at what else he's doing, and you can't blame the other side. So everyone blames the other side. There was 4 other sacks, not named Aiden Hutchinson, in the game. 4 to 1 ratio. The other side is just freaking fine. And you, again, go to the scheme. The scheme is not, and that's why I asked that question to Derek on All 22 yesterday. Do we need another edge rusher? Of course you would want another edge rusher. But is that what's going to get us to a Super Bowl? No, it's the offensive line. The other side is operating at a high level, and if they weren't, we wouldn't be where we are today. It's the scheme. It's the linebackers being utilized more than what you guys think or understand or know or fail to recognize. I don't know what the answer is. The linebackers have been a highlight. I saw it in camp. After camp, I go on the show. I do some videos, and I say, watch for the linebackers this year. They are going to be the highlight of this defense. They are going to get after the quarterback. What happened, Eric? What happened? Did that happen? It happened.
Yeah.
It happened. So I'm looking at pass rush win rates right now. And according to ESPN, as of November 4, Aiden Hutchinson is not even mentioned in the top 20. Nobody from the Lions is mentioned in the top 20 for pass rush win rate. Nobody.
But yet the Lions are number 2 in sacks in the NFL.
Defensive tackle, no one is listed. Defensive tackle run stop win rate, no one is listed. Edge run stop win rate, no one is listed. So here's my question. This can be looked at 2 different ways, right? 1, they're not listed, they must suck. Or 2, there's a lot of guys that are winning. And when a lot of guys are winning, you're going to have lower numbers, lower percentages, because you're not winning on every rep. Why? Because we do what? We drop into more of what? Contain. Which is what I've been arguing for and screaming for 3 years straight. Put these guys into more zone, drop the edge into more contain, rush the linebackers, and that's exactly what Kelvin Shepherd is doing. It's why this defense is playing at a much higher level. When you look at the overall pass rush win rate right now, the Lions are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, top 11. 29% as a team, pass rush win rate. Run stop win rate, The Lions are 26%. Actually, can I whittle this down? How do I whittle this down? Lions are ranked 32. Let me back that up. Lions have the 32nd worst pass rush win rate in the league. 32nd at 29%. 31st in run stop win rate. Pass block win rate on the offense and run block win rate, they are also in the bottom third. So the offensive line not looking good, right? But the defensive line looks atrocious at the bottom of the league, but yet they're second. Is that what you said? We're second in sacks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, number 2 in sacks. And in the NFC North, the next closest is the Vikings at 11, the Packers at 12, and then you have the Bears at 21 in the league with sacks. So I think the Lions are doing just fine in the old Sackville.
We're doing fine, but here's what I want to throw back at everybody. Remember last year when everyone, or not everyone, I guess a certain collection of people kept saying, well, we suck. We don't have enough sacks. Sacks. We need sacks. And what did I kept saying? Sacks aren't going to win you football games. Sacks aren't going to win you a Super Bowl. The Denver Broncos led the league in sacks last year by a wide margin, and I think they are this year again. Are they going to win a Super Bowl this year? Probably not. Did they last year? Didn't even sniff it. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
So now the Lions right now, when you look at overall sack leaders from last year, I'm looking at 2024 stats.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions were what? Tied for, let me just count it up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We were 23rd in the league last year with 37 sacks. 23rd.
Yep,
The Broncos were number 1 with 63. The Ravens were number 2 with 54. The Dallas Cowboys were number 3 with 52. The Texans were 4. The Vikings were 5. The Chargers were 6. The Bucks were 7. I'm going to keep on going. Who won the Super Bowl last year? Oh, the Eagles.
The Eagles down there at 14 with
14 with 41. Okay. Let's go to
Yeah,
25.
What about the other team that was in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs? They were 19th with 39.
Okay. So again, this year, the Broncos are out by a wide margin. They have 40. And I keep hearing, well, we need to get this player from the Broncos. And no, they run a 3-4 scheme. It doesn't make any sense. Our linebackers are playing just fine. We need better coverage linebackers, if anything, not guys to get after the passer. So they have 40 sacks on the season. The Lions are number 2 at 28. Now, going off of what I've always said, sacks will not win you a Super Bowl. They will not win you football games. We just had 5 sacks against J.J. McCarthy. We didn't win the football game. Wasn't even close. You could blame the offense if you want. The point is, the sacks didn't help you win. We still scored enough points to win. You scored 24 points. But last year, the top, 17 teams didn't win the Super Bowl? And they were leading in sack rates. In this year, we're at number 2, and you still think that we need to be better? How?
Yeah.
If all you wanted was sacks, you got them. You got them, and we're still not winning football games. So I'm sorry I'm a little amplified this morning because there's a bunch of lies and bullshit being spoke about me, which is going to get handled. I try to let it go. Not letting it go now. I'm just not going to ruin my channel by talking about it. You'll see it in the newspapers eventually. I get sick of all of the BS that gets spoke about this team. This is part of the reason why I keep doing this. Right? I started this because the truth, the honesty, and the transparency of not only the team, but how the game is played and what's happening and what's not happening. And I think that people fail to realize that there's some actors out there that are giving you bad information. Just flat out bad information. I'm not saying mine's any better. I'm not saying Eric's is any better. But I will tell you is that if you check the receipts in the cash register, we have way more in our drawer because we seem to get a lot of things right. Why is that? Am I smarter than anybody else? Maybe, maybe not. Or is it because we understand what's happening here? We're paying attention to the things that are happening. That's probably it. We care enough to read and to do the right thing. This is what's crazy to me, Eric, is that for as much stuff as it, I mean, you know how much I write, you know how much work I put into things. If none of my content or none of my takes really align with anybody in the media space, nobody, I'm exact opposite. If you really look at it, I'm the exact opposite. Tell me how that makes sense. That I would be doing anything of anybody else's if I'm the exact opposite.
Yeah. Well,
It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
I'm going to tell you something. This fan base has gone off the mother effing rails.
Oh, yeah.
We are so spoiled having 12-5 and 15-2, and they all think we need to go out and make all these big trades to get us over the hump for this one last little push. That's not what's going to do it, and I've been saying it for months that it's not going to happen. Well, yesterday I went to bed with my hair on fire and had a hard time going to sleep because, listen, I'm used to getting hate online. Not a problem, not an issue whatsoever, right? Packer fans, Viking fans, whatever. I don't care. Goes in one ear and out the other. But when I start getting attacked by Lions fans, calling me a homer and telling me that the Lions are going to lose and blah, 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 I'm just like, what? My own fan base. And then I had some guy in one group call me out and say that I've only been a Lions fan for 2 or 3 years and you never heard nothing from me before. I'm like, well, you better go back to all the NFC North and all the Lions groups and look back from the very first year that I had a Facebook, because I'm thinking that's like 2006, because that's all I posted was Lions stuff.
You just weren't doing podcasting. You just weren't,
exactly.
That's the only difference. You were always a fan.
I wasn't able to go to a bunch of games every year. I got to go to one game every year. I went to one game every year at the Silverdome. I went to one game every year at Ford Field. And if I was lucky, I got to go to 2 games. And that was a big if. And these last 3 years, yes, I've went to every single game that I can go to. Well, I can afford it now. I couldn't afford it before. But that doesn't make me a new fan or a fair weather fan or any of that. It just means now I can afford to do it. And it got under my skin yesterday having so-called Lions fans try to call me out. And I'm like, you guys are a bunch of, I don't get it.
I think they're the new age. We got to come up with a word for it, but they've got to be like the new age Lions fans that they just showed up in the last 2 or 3 years. Look,
well, that's what they're trying to call me, is one of these bandwagon fans, and I'm like, seriously?
Hey, nobody.
I wore my Charlie Batch jersey until the numbers and the letters and the nameplate wore off, because that's the only jersey I could afford, and I watched it 8 million times, and I wore it over and over and over. I bought a Charles Rogers jersey, and I wore that until the nameplate came off. I bought a Joey Harrington jersey, and I wore that until there were holes in it. Then I got a John Kitna jersey, and I wore that forever. Then I had a Megatron jersey that I still have. I had a Matt Stafford jersey. I had them all. I had all the guys that are gone and not here anymore.
Well, no one ever knew of me either, Eric. I mean, 27 years of season tickets in my family for over 60 years. I just showed up and went to games. I tailgated. I was a fan. I that's all that I did. I watched every game. Or listened to it if I was, traveling or something. Like, some of my best memories ever are pulling over with my kids in the car, and it's a fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, and Matthew Stafford has the football. Some of my best memories ever as a father and also as a fan is being able to listen and to go through all that and share that with your kids. And, I can still see, looking in the rearview mirror, my kids jumping up and down and screaming because Matthew Stafford just broke his shoulder, then went in and won the game, and it's, look, just because you pop up or we pop up on a scene in the last couple of years, which, by the way, October 23rd of this year was my 2-year anniversary of doing this. It seems like I've been doing it for a lot longer because I kind of came into the YouTube space in October of 23. So this is my third season doing it. And I get it. Look, the channel's had a ton of success. There is nobody responsible for it, but the hard work and energy that I've put in, Eric's dedication on the morning show. It's crazy for me to ever think anyone would be responsible for waking up at 5 a.m. I don't know who does that for me. Please do. Please, someone wake up for me at 5 a.m. every day. And then please get to bed before midnight every night. And then also make sure that you handle all of the other business stuff for me throughout the day, right? And all of the other doctor's appointments and cancer things that I have to deal with. Please do all of that for me. Because if you're going to stake a claim to one thing, please do it all. Have it all. I'll give it to you. I'll gift wrap it. I'll even mail it to you. Priority mail. What a clown. What an absolute clown. All right, let's get into some news, man. So winners and losers yesterday. Be back here in 17 seconds.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right, so last night I gave a big shout out to Aaron Glenn, and I did that by purpose. Like, I'm not going to give any credit to the GM over there. I'm not going to give any credit to the ownership over there because the Jets have just been terrible.
Atrocious.
Right? They've been terrible for years. They've brought in some really great players, but man, did he have some balls on him yesterday to allow the GM to make the trades that they were going to make and did. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, damn, this is the Brad Holmes trade of all Brad Holmes trades. And they pull it off. This is exactly what Brad Holmes did to get the Lions started off in the right direction. And that was trading Matthew Stafford to the Rams, getting a couple of extra first-round picks. But, man, they didn't stop there, right? So here, let's recap here what the Jets did yesterday. Obviously, the NFL was a little bit busy yesterday, a little bit busier than normal. Well, we saw blockbuster deals, such as, the Jets sent Sauce Gardner to the Colts. Don't love that move. Colts just got way better. They had 2 first-round picks for that. They also picked up receiver Adonai Mitchell in return. And then the Seattle Seahawks acquisition of Rashid Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints for a pair of draft picks. Then Jacksonville was swapping draft selections to the Vegas Raiders for Jacoby Myers. So in all, 22 in-season trades took place, topping last year's 18. And these in-season deals tend to fall a little bit short of desired impact. And that's exactly what I've been saying. Just read that from New York Times. Winners: Philadelphia Eagles, Indianapolis Colts, and your New York Jets. Those are your top 3 winners. Now, in the theory, this is what the New York Times has to say. The Jets are stuck in a perpetual state of rebuilding. And the 2 first-round picks acquired from the Colts and the first and the second rounders from Dallas should help their efforts. But as history has shown, first-round picks don't exactly change fortunes for the Jets. They drafted Sauce Gardner, number 4 in 22, and wide receiver Garrett Wilson the same year. And Gardner now has exited, and Wilson, although talented, is a fixture on an underperforming offense. If the Jets could ever get their act together in terms of decision-making and direction of the franchise, then having 3 extra first-rounders is great wealth. It's not just the first-rounders. They have 5 first-round picks in back-to-back years. They also have 3 second-round picks. Is that right? Is it 3 second-round picks?
All right, I'm going to tell you what they got here. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So next year in 26, they have 2 firsts and 2 seconds. And then in 27, they have 3 firsts and 1 second. That's just so they have 5 first round
3 seconds, right?
And 3 seconds in the next 2 seasons.
Okay, so
that is going to build them a winner.
So that's just the tip of the iceberg, because you still have players that you could potentially move off of or other trades that could be done. But we'll park that, because with that amount of picks and where they're going to end up finishing this year, which should definitely be a top 5 pick, not only are they going to have the top 5 pick, they're going to be able to move off of, let's say a second round pick, their own, package that up with something and move up further. They could end up with the number 1 pick next year and get their quarterback. They could also end up with another top 5 pick in the first round and get their defensive end, their defensive tackle, their offensive tackle, whatever it is. I have a feeling the Jets are going to stay in the trenches. Quarterback and trench is trench warfare is what I see the Jets doing with their draft next year, which is exactly what Aaron Glenn knows to do. This is his team, right? These are his players. The GM has a lot to say, but if it's anything like Dan and Brad, it's pretty much 50-50. And if Dan really doesn't want it, probably not going to happen. If Aaron Glenn has anything to say at all, he's going to be able to build his team the way that he knows it needs to be done, which is inside out. You never go outside in. If you look at the teams that have been the most successful, they've built from the inside out. Justin Fields, not working, right? I mean, he works some days and then some days he doesn't. Maybe it's an offensive line issue. Potentially. They're going to be able to fix that. Maybe you keep Justin around for another year just to have on the roster. They're going to grab a quarterback. And there's going to be some really good quarterbacks next year. I said this and people thought I was nuts. Jets Super Bowl 2027. I think that they're going to be sniffing it. I think that they're going to be contenders. They may not make it in 27, but I said you give them 2 years, these guys are going to be contending. And they're going to be contending because of what they just did for themselves. So this is the Brad Holmes trade, if I've ever seen one before. They just didn't help the Cowboys this year to go win a Super Bowl. They did help the Colts potential to go win a Super Bowl by giving them Sauce Gardner, who has underperformed this year from all accounts. He's having a bad year. When you're on a bad team, sometimes you play bad. But the player that spoke to me out of this whole deal, Eric, was Mozzie Smith. Because when Mozzie Smith was coming out, I think it was 23, I said, that is a Detroit Lion. That is everything Aaron Glenn wants from a defensive tackle is Mozzie Smith. And not only that, he was on the freaks list. He was a freak. I mean, how big he is, how crazy he moves. Mozzie Smith is that guy if he's trained right. I don't think he's been trained right in Dallas. Now he's going to go work under Aaron Glenn. Mozzie Smith is going to have a bounce-back career in New York. You heard it here first. Make sure you write that down. So I'm sure someone's going to steal it with the word confirmed, too. I'm confirming it here first. What are your thoughts on the Jets?
Well, here, I got a question for you. What do you think that Aaron Glenn will do with this QB situation? Will he try to get a bridge, a real bridge, or a real possible starter, the next Baker Mayfield, the next Sam Darnold, the next, you name it, keep going down the list. One of these guys that got passed over, the next Daniel Jones that got looked over, that's having amazing. Now, like Sam Darnold, he's putting together his second amazing season. That guy is kicking ass and taking names.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he goes that route, or do you think he goes the route of bringing in a rookie quarterback?
I guess kind of what I just said. I think it's both. I think that they keep. So I think Justin's on a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
So I think he'll probably stick around because if they were going to move off of him, I think he would have been traded at the trade deadline. I think that they'll probably keep him around for 1 more year. I don't think his contract is crazy. And then they're definitely going to bring in a rookie. And of course, it would be great to bring in another veteran, but who are you going to bring in?
Well, it just depends on who's a free agent at the end of the year.
I just don't know of any. I mean, I can take a quick look. So 2026 NFL QB free agents. I just don't see another Sam Darnold type situation or I don't see another Sam Darnold like situation or even Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is on a 1-year deal. Would he go to the New York Jets? Maybe. I mean, there's always that possibility, but I don't know. I guess I haven't given that much thought to think that, would Daniel Jones go back to New York?
And New York's going to have some money now that they're not paying Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, I haven't evaluated that part yet. I don't even really know. I haven't looked if anything's even changed yet on the back end. I'm still trying to find QBs for next year, and let's see who's coming up.
Somebody says Arch Manning for the Jets in the draft.
Yeah, it could be. Could be. I don't see any free. What is this? Why is there no free agent QBs? Hold on. Why is this not? All right, here we go. Free agent
Well,
QBs in 2026. Daniel Jones at the top of the list, making $14 million this year. They're probably going to re-sign him. I would expect.
well, you would think so, but look at Sam Darnold. Everybody thought Sam Darnold was going to re-sign with the Minnesota Vikings as well.
Yeah, but the Colts, look, they've been at the bottom for a while, and they finally have something since Peyton Manning that they're going to want to build off of. If they can get Daniel Jones a very similar contract to Sam Darnold, they'll probably do that. And, you're probably talking that 33, 34 million for a year. He's worth it, especially after what they've done this year. And I think if they're going to learn something, they're going to learn from the Vikings, where the Vikings should have kept Sam Darnold. Now, J.J. McCarthy had one game only. We'll see what happens this week. I blame that all on the Lions, not J.J. We got something to talk about J.J. here in just a moment. But so next year, Aaron Rodgers, no, he'll be done. Russell Wilson, probably going to retire. And if he doesn't, well, he should. Marcus Mariota wouldn't make any sense. He's not an upgrade. Zach Wilson, nope, not going to happen. Tyrod Taylor, no. Joe Flacco, God, I hope not. Kenny Pickett, nope. Jimmy Garoppolo, nope. Mitchell Trubisky, he's still playing? Nope.
Wow.
Case Keenum, nope. Trey Lance, nah. Carson Wentz, probably not. Brandon Allen, no. Malik Willis, no. Definitely not Teddy B. Gardner Minshew, nope. Doesn't make any sense. I don't see anybody on this list that makes any sense at all to bring into New York. So it's going to be a rookie, and I believe that it'll also be Justin Fields for one more season, which I think is the rest of his contract, if I'm not mistaken. The question is, what rookie is it going to be? Could be Arch Manning. Could absolutely be Arch Manning. It could be... How's Ty Simpson doing this year with Alabama?
No clue.
I mean, there's a couple of good quarterbacks. Next year. I thought it was going to be a much deeper draft, and it still could be. Drew Aller out of Penn State. Could be Drew. Could be Arch Manning. It could be Garrett Nussmeier. And it could be Ty Simpson. I would say that those are your top four right now going into the draft, at least for me. Dante Moore is great from Oregon. Lenoris Sellers, he's okay from South Carolina. Fernando Mendoza doesn't excite me, even though Indiana's having a hell of a season. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. So overall, your Jets theory is what?
I think they're going to do a similar rebuild, kind of like what the Lions did. I think that Aaron Glenn's been around. He's seen the blueprint. He sees what works. He knows it's going to take a couple seasons, and he's loading up with even more than what the Lions had. So this is going to be interesting to watch the Jets the next couple of years, because I don't think it's coaching that has lost them all these games. I really think it is just the talent level that they have there, and the way that team has been run the last few years is just horrible. And this is going to be the fix that they needed.
I think so too, man. It's a great boost, right? You're now set for probably the next 4 seasons. Just because of those draft picks alone, you are now set for at least the next 4 seasons, because you're going to be able to move around and do things, hopefully some smarter things than what the Lions did. I think the Lions, to kind of get off this for a moment, this is where the difference for me. I think that Brad Holmes failed to a degree in one aspect of having all of those first-round picks. He should have, without a doubt, traded back and got more picks, and he didn't. And I'd have to go back and look at all my notes, my original notes that I write, and go and look and see what my take was during the draft. But I want to say, if he would have traded back in 22 or 23, there was options to do it. Instead, they traded forward to get Jamison Williams. Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have taken the injured player, number one. Number two, I would have probably taken someone different. Not hating on Jamo. I'm just saying, like, at the time, right? Mm-hmm. At the time, I would have done something different. But I would have traded back at least once to try to gain some more picks. You could have then packaged and moved back forward. However, it takes two to tango, and not every team is going to want to trade with you. So, or the price might have been too rich. But had they just moved back, which I know we went from 6 to 12, we ended up getting Jameer, great pick. I would have moved back, at least last year, you probably could have moved back a little bit too if someone would have traded with you. Get more picks. This year, where I love the trade deadline or where I love in-season trades is if you have a player that you know you're not going to re-sign next year, how much value is that player really to you this season? Maybe you make a trade to try to, stack some picks. I don't know what player that would be because I haven't thought about it yet. But every year you should be looking at that. And I think the smart teams do that. They do try to stack some picks. And we're going to talk about the Eagles next. So the Eagles are the clear winner as far as who brought in players to maybe get better this year is the Eagles once again. But Howie Roseman does this every year, it seems like. And every year the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl. So we'll see if it actually works out. I'm not impressed like a lot of other people are. But here's what The Athletic said, that Howie Roseman does it again. Philadelphia's GM found ways to improve his roster and help position his team for the stretch run. The Eagles stood firm on their stance that they wouldn't trade A.J. Brown. So now they just have to figure out how to better put him in use down the stretch of the season. They emerged from the trade deadline having acquired a pass rushing help from Jaelan Phillips, who, when healthy for a full season, has been an 8-sack per year edge rusher. Let me stop there. Everyone always complains, or not everyone, a portion of the fan base complains that the Lions need edge. They need someone opposite of Aiden all the time. Jaelan Phillips, the guy that a lot of people were saying we should have brought in, which I, for one, said was not a fit, wouldn't happen, didn't happen, clearly. As a 3-4 outside linebacker / edge, 8 sacks a year when healthy. If that's what you're asking or looking for, that's not impressive. I mean, 8 sacks is a lot, right? But that's not like overly impressive. You're not going to get a 12, 14, 16 sack guy on the opposite of anyone. Doesn't happen. The guy that I still wanted, which is still playing great, who just smoked Patrick Mahomes. Do you remember who it was?
Mm-mm.
Any idea?
Nope.
AJ Epinesa. That is the guy I would have brought in. And I still stand firm on that. That's the guy I would have brought in. So anyway, Jaelan Phillips is an 8-sack guy a year when healthy. So if that's what you believe is going to change your team dynamic, I'm sorry, I think you got another thing coming to you. They go on to say that he'll help fill the void that the Eagles have been struggling to fill ever since Josh Sweat departed in free agency. They also acquired Michael Carter, corner, who will help bolster the secondary with his ability to play both corner and safety. Michael Carter is the guy that I would have brought in for the Lions if they felt that they needed another versatile weapon. They didn't do it. And then let's not forget that Philadelphia added much-needed help for its secondary when it acquired Jair Alexander from the Baltimore Ravens last week. So they brought in 3 players, Jaelan Phillips, Jair Alexander, and Michael Carter. Jair Alexander can't stick to a team. Why can't he stick to a team? What's his problem? Is he really going to help? Probably not. So he struggled to stay on the field since he was a Pro Bowler from 20 to 22. And since then, he just can't stay healthy. So I'm not as excited for the Eagles, not because I don't like the team. I give them all a fair shake. I don't think that they did anything that's going to make them that much better at all, period. They got a guy that can't stay on the field. Well, 2 guys, Phillips and Alexander. Michael Carter, he's good. He's not great. So we'll see. What's your thoughts on the Eagles?
The Eagles, I don't know. They're already a good team. I don't think these guys, I don't know. Everyone talks about how Howie makes all these trades every year and somehow they get the money under the cap. But look at all the guys that had to leave from the defense in the offseason. You know, they lost a lot of that defense that they had from last year. So I don't think when they get to if they get to the Super Bowl, if they were to get to the Super Bowl this year, I don't think they're going to win with the defense that they had last year, because they just don't have that type of a defense again this year with the guys that they have now. And I know they're trying to replace him with, Jalen Phillips and Jair Alexander, but I don't see it. I don't think those guys are going to be the guys that get them over the top and make them a Super Bowl contender. I just don't see that happening. Jair Alexander was probably going to be cut by the Ravens at the end of the season, and Miami was just trying to get whatever they could for Phillips. Now, he's a good player, but he's an outside linebacker. He came from a 3-4 system, not a 4-3 like the Lions have. So it wouldn't have made any sense, I don't think, for the Lions to go after that guy unless they're going to convert him to an edge. And we didn't have a 3rd round pick to give up. So,
I mean, I'm sure that we could have done some sort of a pick swap, that would have involved a 2nd for a 3rd and a player or something like that. But then you're giving up a 2nd round pick. And as far as Jalen Phillips goes, size-wise and positional-wise, could the Lions have used maybe a better coverage linebacker? Absolutely. But how does he? And he can rush the quarterback too. He's 6'5", 263, so he's on that tweener side of being more of a speed end in a 4-3 scheme. He'd be an 8-in kind of an end. I do like the 6'4.5" to 6'5.5" size better than 6'7". If you're 6'7", you have 34-inch arms, then I love you even more. But we just don't have that. Look, I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's gonna change their ability to win. I mean, if they can't do it with guys like Devonta Smith or Milton Williams, which Milton Williams left last year, that was a guy that they drafted, right? So let me speak to the Eagles for just a moment. When you look at why the Eagles are winning, is it because of the moves that they have made in the offseason? Do me a favor, Eric. Look up the Eagles trade deadline moves from last year. And then also have 23s ready as well. So in 2020, they brought in Jalen Reagor, Jalen Hurts, Kevon Wallace, Quez Watkins in the, 6th round or something like that. So the only guy that really matters that's on this roster right now, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Reagor, Kevon Wallace, who's a safety, and Quez Watkins, who's a wide receiver. I believe all 4 of those guys are still on the roster. 2021, they brought in Devonta Smith, outside or offensive lineman Landon Dickerson, defensive lineman Milton Williams, who's no longer on the roster, I don't believe. Seth McPherson, Kenneth Gainwell, running back, Marlon Tuipulotu, defensive lineman, Teron Jackson, defensive end in the 6th round again. Move on to 2022. They brought in Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens on the offensive line, linebacker Nakobe Dean, defensive end Kyron Johnson, and then a tight end Grant Calcaterra. So they still have Davis, Jurgens, Nakobe Dean, Devonta Smith, Dickerson, Milton Williams again. I think he's gone. Almost positive he's gone. Isn't he in New England? Yeah, he's in New England. Okay, so 23, they really started to go deeper on the defensive side of the football. They brought in Jalen Carter. They brought in Nolan Smith. They brought in Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, Moro Ojimo, a guy that I loved. I think he came out of Tennessee or Texas, something like Texas maybe. But I loved Moro Ojimo. And the fact you could have got him in the 7th round, that would have been a player that I felt the Lions should have picked up. But again, they didn't. Quinn and Mitchell, they brought in last year. Cooper DeJean, Jalix Hunt. Jalix Hunt was ranked number 1 on my metric system, the one that I built, not somebody else built. He was number 1 for me on height, weight, speed, all of his measurables, all of his athletics, everything that he did in the combine and beyond. He was number 1 to me. He's been playing pretty well. When he gets his shots, he plays pretty well. They brought in Jeremiah Trotter, good linebacker from Clemson. They brought in Trevor Keegan, offensive line. Dylan McMahon, offensive line. So when you look at the players that are helping them win this year, Jahad Campbell, Makuba, Ty Robinson. Who else did they bring in that really matters this year? Drew Kendall, maybe, the center. So they've brought in some players through the draft. Who did they bring in last year at the trade deadline?
I can't find it.
Can't find it.
No, this is stupid.
It's probably so loaded right now.
It just keeps popping up stuff from this year.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can just go to the transactions. We'll go to 2024.
That's what I did, and it didn't show any for.
Okay, so if we go back to when was the trade deadline last year? I don't remember.
Yeah, I put it through the 5th of 2000. Maybe I'll change the date. I'll put it to the 28th. There.
So last year at the end of October, they released Siaka Ika from the practice squad. They placed Byron Young on injured reserve. They signed Jack Driscoll to the active roster.
I don't think they made a trade last year. I can't find anything that they made a trade last year. So there's a team that didn't make a trade at the deadline last year.
Are we sure? I'm pretty sure they brought somebody in.
I'm not seeing anything. So I'm looking from August 9th, 2024 through the middle of November and 2024. And the only thing I can see is on August 27th that Philadelphia acquired Jahan Dotson, the wide receiver, and a 5th-round pick from the Washington Commanders for a 3rd, 7th, and a 7th. That's the only thing I see from the Eagles from 2024, the entire season, as far as trades. Here, I'll just do teams.
One sec.
I can do just teams.
Okay, they brought in Kevin Byard, the safety. They brought in Albert Okwuegbunam, whatever, a tight end. But no blockbuster deals last year other than Kevin Byard, acquired from the Tennessee Titans, according to Jeff here.
Yeah.
So they sent safety Terrell Edmonds and a 2024 5th and a 6th-round pick to Tennessee for Kevin Byard. So that's all they added last year. And then they go out and win. Right? They go out and win. And they won because they built their team through the freaking draft. That's why. Am I missing something? What am I missing?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What about the Chiefs? I didn't hear a whole lot of action out of the Chiefs this year. The next winner was the Colts, right? The Colts in a very rare chance to bring in a 2-time All-Pro corner. The Colts managed to swing such a deal on Tuesday, bringing in what's his name? Sauce Gardner. They brought in Sauce Gardner. They traded who did they trade? The Colts get Charvarius Ward back from his injury stint soon. I'm sorry, when the Colts get back Charvarius Ward back from his stint on injured reserve, they'll have an outstanding duo at corner with Charvarius Ward and Sauce Gardner. So they sent, what did they send? Was it 2 firsts for him?
For who?
For Sauce. It was 2 firsts, right?
Yeah, it was 2 firsts.
Yeah, it was 2 first-round picks. So the Colts just gave away their entire future for a corner.
Yep.
So let's watch what happens to the Colts now. If they don't win this year or next year, and they don't have any first-round picks, they're not going to be able to fill that hopper. The Lions will. The Lions are going to be able to fill the hopper. We have both our first-round picks. Who knows? You might end up with more. Depends on what happens with Sam Laporta or Brian Branch. You never know. We could have a trade next offseason during free agency period. Instead of signing someone, we could trade. And maybe that is one thing that Brad should consider. Get more picks. Hey, if he trusts his draft strategy, maybe you get more picks. That was my whole argument with Jameson Williams. Like, look, you've got all these weapons. Maybe you trade him. You have Kirby, right? Just had the best season of his career, and now he's banged up all year with a knee injury. Maybe you should have traded him. The ether was high. You just got 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. You could have probably at least got 1 first-round pick for Kirby. And again, not saying that I want to trade these players, But when you look at a team sustaining success and having the ability to go out and win, stacking picks does help you. On the flip side of that, though, then you have the money situation. You keep bringing in first round picks, man, your checkbook gets full quick. So when you have to sign all these players to these guaranteed contracts, that's a lot of money going out. So the winners yesterday, those three teams: Jets, Eagles, you could say, the Colts. I know the Jags were mentioned in here as potential winners. The Seahawks were mentioned as potential winners, and the Bengals. I mean, they didn't deal Trey Hendrickson. Oh wait, I thought someone had a guy that had a guy.
Yeah,
the knew of a guy, and that guy said that it was confirmed that the Lions were bringing in Trey for a second round pick.
Oh, confirmed. I heard that a bunch of times.
Confirmed, yeah. Right after I put a video out there using the
Listen.
word confirmed. Kind of funny how it pops up 24 hours later, huh?
Listen, from the end of the season last year through today, we have been saying there is absolutely no way Trey Hendrickson was coming to the Lions. We've said it over and over and over. I got so sick of talking about Trey Hendrickson that I didn't even want him anymore because I just got sick of talking about the guy all the time. It's not going to happen. It didn't happen. It's never going to happen. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Maybe the Lions can go after him then. But
yeah, it's still not going to happen.
I still don't
But
see him.
I bet you we see 50 videos though about Trey Hendrickson next spring.
Yes,
I bet you we do. You know, because if
March 7th or whatever, the first day of free agency.
If the Lions couldn't bring him in now on a half-a-year rental, which would be stupid. See, this is the thing that I don't, and look, I'm not calling anybody stupid. I'm just saying it would be stupid to waste that kind of capital, to waste that many draft picks on a half-a-year rental. Because you're not going to re-sign him the next year because you can't. I mean, you could. Theoretically, you could. So let me rephrase. You could re-sign him to a 3-year, $100 million deal or $140 million deal or whatever it's going to be. You could. But then tell me what players you're saying goodbye to. Yeah, I get it. Well, yeah, Jared Goff he'll renegotiate his contract. Yep, he will. It'll be a signing bonus. That barely moves the needle. $30 million or $25 million, whatever the signing bonus is going to be to Jared next year, is barely going to move the needle. Especially when you're looking at a team that barely has $2.5 million next year. You still have a lot of guys to sign. You still have 7 rookies to sign. You were going to say something. Go for it.
Yeah, Diana Rossini reported right at the trade deadline that the reason Hendrickson didn't move was the Bengals were asking for a first round pick for a half-year rental. It's not going to happen, and that's why he didn't move. They don't want to move him.
Yeah. The Bengals aren't serious, man. They'd rather just let him walk in free agency. So if you play the free agency game, in the compensatory pick game, they're guaranteed to get a third-round pick. They're guaranteed. No matter what, they are guaranteed to get a third-round pick when Trey leaves next year. So if you're only going to give him a second, maybe that doesn't excite him a whole lot. Why? Because your second-round pick is at the end of the damn round. That's why. And I don't know if people understand that or take into consideration these facts. When your picks are late in the round, they're not worth squat to these teams on trades. That's why for the Lions, it would take a second because you're picking at 27 or 28 or 29 or 30, at the end of the first round, it takes more, right? The amount of the picks value drops off in a big time way when you get towards the end of the round. Like this shouldn't even be stuff that I have to explain.
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, on winners and losers here. I heard a rumor yesterday,
Okay.
and I haven't seen anybody put it out yet. I don't know if they will. So Hendon Hooker, right? Tell us what happened
Yep.
with Hendon, and then I'm going to tell you what I heard.
All right. So after a short stint on the active roster for the Carolina Panthers, Hendon Hooker got released yesterday.
Is he coming back?
I doubt he comes back to the Lions. So it was announced November 4th, the day of the NFL trade deadline, that the Carolina Panthers are releasing quarterback Hendon Hooker. Hooker was a third-round pick by the Lions in 2023. At the time, the Lions were still over a year away from extending Jared Goff's contract and thus giving him the ultimate vote of confidence as their long-term starter. They drafted Hooker out of Tennessee thinking he could develop into a high-end backup or a potential trade piece or maybe even more. But things never clicked for Hendon Hooker in Detroit. He spent most of his rookie year rehabbing a torn ACL, and he ended up going to the Carolina Panthers. Well, fast forward, and the Carolina Panthers signed him to their practice squad shortly after being released. He was with the Panthers. He was their third string quarterback behind Bryce Young and Andy Dalton, but the Panthers signed fellow quarterback Mike White to the practice squad 2 weeks ago after Young went down with an ankle injury and Dalton hurt his thumb. Hooker's days in Carolina appeared numbered when the team appointed White to its active roster this week. He felt like the odd man out with Young set to return from injury, and today's move confirmed as much. Hooker was a rare miss on day 2 from Brad Holmes, but the Lions liked his quick release and accuracy over the middle, and he could get another flyer from an NFL team soon. But so far, it's been a rough start for the former Tennessee star.
Okay, so this is just a flat out rumor.
Okay.
Just a rumor.
Yeah.
It came from somebody that I got a guy that has 3 other guys. Anyway, the conversation went a little something like this, that the Panthers are not happy with Bryce Young. Okay, I'm going to start there. I got to look something up. I got to look something up real quick.
So this guy you talked to, is he the guy down under the bridge that picks up pop cans? And
he might. I mean, I know he does a lot of public service work.
Okay, so he's one of them kind of guys.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a real good dude. So,
all right,
Bryce Young, when you look at his season, I mean, 1,390 yards, 61.1 completion percentage. He's got 11 TDs to 6 interceptions, 81.5 average rating. He's only had one passer rating over 100 in week. Week 3? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was week 6-ish, whatever, against the Cowboys. He's only had 2 passer ratings over 90 this year. He's terrible. And what's hilarious, I missed a super chat. I'll get right back to it in just a minute. You look at his first 3 seasons, 23, 24, 25. They're all mirror images of each other. You know, this year, 11 for 6 on TD to interception rate. Last year, at 15 TDs to 9 interceptions. The year before, 11 TDs to 10 interceptions. The rumor that I heard is that they were trying to move Bryce Young yesterday, the Panthers, and it didn't happen. And Hendon Hooker would have been that emergency quarterback to then slide in at number 2. But I don't know the condition of Andy Dalton. Is he even healthy right now?
Yeah, he got hurt.
He has a broken thumb or something.
Yeah, and Bryce Young, he beat the Packers last week. But you want to know how he beat the Packers? He threw for 102 yards and an interception with a passer rating of 48.3.
Jesus.
So all these people that think the Packers are the be all end all, they're going to win the Super Bowl, I call a bunch of BS. And I said it from the beginning of the season. They're a bunch of, what people called our team, a bunch of frauds. They almost lost to Arizona. They lost to the Browns. They lost to now the Carolina Panthers. And I think there's more wrong in Packer land than people tend to think.
So
Because Bryce Young is not very good.
hold on a sec. What am I missing here? Andy Dalton got in and played against the Packers.
He did?
Is that
I
what
didn't
you
get
just?
to
Is
watch
that
the
what you just
game,
said?
so- No.
Oh,
This
you
is
talking about Bryce Young? Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah,
like, what?
Bryce
What am
Young.
What am I missing here? Yeah, okay. I heard that wrong. But yeah,
Bryce
he
Young was horrible.
yeah, he has not looked good at all since he's been in the league. Period. And again, what was that 2 years ago? Or 3 years ago, I said that Bryce Young was not going to be the guy. He just wasn't. He wasn't going to be a good quarterback, and he isn't. He's just not. So the rumor was that they were trying to move him, and didn't happen. Now there's no need for Hendon Hooker to be around.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine Hendon Hooker starting for the Panthers. But then again, I guess it made sense to bring him in, kind of get him up to speed, and then see what happens with Bryce Young. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It didn't work out. So they don't really have a need for Hendon. That doesn't make any sense either, especially if Andy Dalton's got a broken thumb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I really don't. But anyway, I guess look for next year. Bryce Young could be on the move somewhere. No, it's not going to be in Detroit. Absolutely not. But anyway,
Do you think they
just a little teaser rumor of the day.
Do you think they just release him at the end of the year?
No, they're not going to release him, man. He's on a rookie deal, so they're gonna probably try to trade him next year. Or they pick up a new QB in the draft and he ends up being the number 2. I don't know, but he's definitely not a leader. I don't see him winning a lot of football games. They don't. Carolina's just been a mess. Used to like that team when I lived in North Carolina. I used to love watching the Panthers. They actually just started, I think, around the time that I was first down there. I went there when I was 15, and I came back. And I went there when I was in my young 20s. And then I came back. And then I went there in my later 20s, opened a restaurant. And then I came back. So I spent plenty of time in North Carolina. I love North Carolina. All right, anyway, up next, 17 seconds. Be right back.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
Lost it. There it is. I'm hoping that the OBS update that's about to take place today is going to fix some things. But I went and saved everything, so I'm hoping I don't lose everything this time. All right, what did we not get to? So a little bit of Lions news. Not much. Obviously, the Lions didn't do anything. We'll take some questions here in just a moment, or we'll try to answer some things. I did miss a super chat, and now it disappeared. Hold on.
There was 2 of them.
Yeah, I apologize. So Greg says, Rise and Grind, my new flagship for Lions football. Appreciate you, Greg. As always, each and everybody, you guys are the real reason. And that's another thing. I mean, look, I've had some things that I've said over the time that I've been on here, but, you know, when I started thanking all of my members and subscribers, and then someone steals it and then, you know, changes it a little bit and uses it. Like, do you ever hear me just jump up and down? No, I don't. But it's just crazy to me. It's like, you know, the pot calling the kettle black. There's so many things that have been stolen from my show. It's not even funny. And I can't believe that someone would ever try to stake a claim on the hard work that I do. I get it. You're mad that my channel's growing faster than yours was at the beginning. I get it. Sorry.
Well, here, I got a quote for you. This is from Phil from Pantera, because he talked about how his band and every band before him has to stand on the shoulders of giants. You have, every chord for every song has already been played.
Mm-hmm.
So you're standing on the shoulders of giants. And he said, imitation is the best form of flattery. And I've always loved that quote from Phil Anselmo from Pantera. You know, he's basically saying everything's been done already. You're just doing it in a different way.
Exactly.
So,
And that's what I've said. I mean, a year ago, I had to, right around the same time. It's like, I don't know why I live rent free in people's heads, but,
yeah, just take it as a good thing.
well,
not a
yeah,
bad
but the thing is like, there's over 130 YouTube channels that have all done this, and there's probably 30 million of them are sports related. They've all done this. There's nothing new.
Yep.
Like I said, last year we used to do the over under reactions on Monday morning. And it was a shout out to Rich Eisen because they did their overreaction Mondays. And I'm like, well, let's do something different. But it still comes on the precipice of what they're doing. I love the segment. Let's do our own. And then last week, by the way, was that Thursday, we started to do bold takes. Right. And so then this week,
mine were horrible. Everyone
well, I know
was wrong.
But for someone to say that something was stolen, let me tell you something. Go search the words hot takes. It has been used in YouTube for decades. As long as YouTube's been out. Go look at every, I don't care, CBS, NBC, ABC, ESPN, The Athletic. I don't care what it is. Go look. It's been there. It's been there forever.
I have a better name for our segment.
Sure.
It's called spaghetti, because we're going to throw spaghetti against the wall and we're going to see what sticks. So let's see what sticks. That's going to be our new one.
Let's see what sticks, what doesn't. We'll talk on that. We'll figure that out.
What sticks, what doesn't.
We'll figure. We'll
just call it spaghetti. Mom's spaghetti.
Well, no, because that's Eminem. Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Even though your mom made spaghetti.
Ours is going to be dad's spaghetti.
Yeah.
Dad's spaghetti.
Yeah.
Grandpa's spaghetti.
Unfreaking believable. Hold on. Yeah, I gotta look at something real quick. But while I'm doing that, why don't you run us through the NFC North?
All right. The NFC North report for today. We have some interesting things coming out in the NFC North. This was a very different NFC North report today. So I was going to start with the Vikings, but I'm going to need you to link a picture on there for me.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
A picture.
Yeah. So I will skip the Vikings for right now and I'll come back to them. I'm going to start with the Packers. The Packers, unfortunately, they lost their number one offensive playmaker in Tucker Kraft to a season-ending ACL tear on Sunday in a 16-13 loss to the Carolina Panthers at Lambeau Field. For the season, Kraft gained 489 yards on 32 receptions with 6 touchdowns. No receiver on the Packers can match what Kraft has done this season. None of them. Tucker Kraft had 6 touchdowns by himself, while all of the Packers wide receivers and tight ends together have a total of only 7 touchdowns on the season. Interestingly enough, Matthew Golden, Green Bay's first-round pick, has a whopping 0 touchdowns on the season. So, who will step up now that Kraft is out for the season? Yes. Now, speaking of trades,
hold on here. So Tucker Kraft, didn't he had a crazy game?
Yes.
How long ago was that? I don't remember now.
Well, he just got hurt. Let me see.
It was just a couple weeks ago. Didn't he have like 143 yards or something crazy?
Yeah, I'm looking her up right now. Okay, so Tucker Kraft, this last game, he just had 2 catches for 20 yards. But before that, 7 catches for 143 and 2 touchdowns, 5 catches for 58 and a touchdown, 2 catches for 43 and a touchdown, 5 catches for 56 and no touchdowns, 3 catches for 29 and no touchdowns, 6 catches for 124 and a touchdown, and then against the Lions, 2 catches for 16 yards and a touchdown. So on the season, he has 489 yards. He's averaging 15.3 per reception. His longest was 59, and he had 6 touchdowns on the season on 32 receptions. And he led the Packers in every single category for receiving as a tight end. The Packers did not make a trade at the deadline, so they didn't try to get a tight end or someone to replace Tucker. So this, I think, is really going to hurt them moving forward for the rest of the season. Jordan Love lost his number 1 target.
All right, go ahead and roll into.
We'll do the Bears next.
I got the Vikings is ready. Oh,
Okay. We'll do the Bears real quick. And the Bears, they are the only team in the NFC North, the only team to pull off a trade yesterday. And they traded for Dayo. Or no, they placed Dayo Ingbo on IR and announced the trade for Joe Tyron Shoyinka. So the Bears announced a trade for defensive end on Tuesday while putting another one on injured reserve. Dayo O tore his Achilles in Chicago's Week 10 win over the Bengals and will miss the remainder of the season. That injury likely contributed to the pre-deadline move to acquire Joe Tyron Shoyinka from the Browns. The Bears traded a 2026 sixth-round pick that originally belonged to the Eagles to Cleveland in exchange for the 2021 first-round pick. Oya Ingbo, who signed a one-year deal this offseason, had 21 tackles and a sack. Tyron Shoyinka is also on a one-year contract, and he had 9 tackles for Cleveland. The Bears also announced that they placed offensive lineman Ricky Stromberg on the practice squad injured reserve list and signed offensive lineman Kyle Hergel to the practice squad. And that is the Bears. Moving on to the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy. Seems he took a shot at Dan Campbell's kneecap slogan after the victory in Ford Field, saying that his kneecaps are indeed intact, and posting a picture of himself inside Ford Field.
So here's what I'm going to say to that. Dude, you just signed your own epitaph.
Yep.
We're going to see you again on Christmas, and it's not going to be good. The one thing you can't do, and I think that there's been some teams in recent history that have figured this out, you do not want to put a bigger chip on the Lions' shoulders. You do not. What just happened in this game, it demoralized the team. They felt, they had to have felt like shit. Because you come off of a bye, you played like crap, emotions are high, and then you go take a shot like this and say that your knees are fine.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't see on this though is where is the actual post? That's what I didn't see.
What do you mean?
Well, because it just says J.J. McCarthy's caption, and then
okay.
I don't see where it says my knees are intact. Oh wait, down here.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh,
it says it.
Hold on.
Here, let me see if I can pull it up here.
No, I just gotta make it a little bit bigger, I think. Pause. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
We got another super chat from Greg 202025.
There you go.
Says sending jelly donuts to my friends at Rise and Grind.
Yeah, there you go. Wish I could eat them. All right, there you go. It says J.J. McCarthy. It says kneecaps are intact. So I didn't see the actual caption. That's not a caption, is it?
Yeah, that's how it goes on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't use Instagram, so I don't know.
I know.
But anyway, here's the deal. Like, you want to take shots at the Lions because you got lucky? You got lucky that we played like crap? Okay. But taking a shot at Dan Campbell and trying to use, what Dan Campbell's message was in 2021 and try like that's not good, man. Like these players are going to come after you now. They're going to make sure that you feel it. So J.J. McCarthy got sacked 5 times. I'm going to say that you're probably going to get sacked at least another 5 times. And this time someone's going to pancake you. I know that Jack Campbell got a penalty for, whatever.
Worst.
Yeah.
Dude, he even held himself on the ground to stop his weight from going into him. There is absolutely nothing else you can do on that play. That one pissed me off big time.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's absolute BS, man.
And then
that
and
shouldn't
then
have
to
happened.
rewatch it yesterday on TV, I rewatched the game. I finally got my nerves down enough that I could rewatch the game on TV. And then for the rules analyst to come in and say, "Yeah, that was a penalty. There's not much more the defender could do, but that by rule that is a penalty." I
That's
call
a-
BS. 99.9% of the time, any other team, that is not. I've never seen that called a penalty before, where the defender tries to keep himself from putting his weight on him, put his hands on the ground.
Yeah.
Not a penalty for anyone else. Only Jack Campbell and only the Detroit Lions.
Hot garbage is what it is. I mean, you don't see it often. That's the thing. You don't see that kind of a penalty called often. But I said that Jack Campbell was going to have, a target on his back, and clearly that's the case. He has a target on his back. Can't find
Now,
what I was looking for.
after rewatching the Hutch one a bunch of times, I do see where he hit him with his leg.
Yeah,
So
you see it now.
that one I can see, but he was being pushed, so maybe he's trying to keep himself up from not being pushed, but in slow motion it looks bad.
Man, I don't know what is going on with my PC today. I don't have any drop frames. When I try to load something, it just does not want to load. Apparently I need to sign in again, though. Okay, so you did the NFC North report. I also found this neat little article here that was talking about kind of the blockbuster deals, the most impactful midseason deals of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check my audio. Sorry, my audio just sounds different today. And here's what it said, man. If you go back and look at, it says 2025 NFL trade deadline, could Cowboys-Jets deals end up among the most impactful midseason deals of all time? I know we spent some time already talking about this, but I wanted to go back and look at what this article had to say about the most impactful trades of all time. Because when you think about what, certain Lions fans are saying that the Lions aren't doing anything to win a Super Bowl and yada, yada, yada. They're not making the right moves. Okay, well, what were the most impactful trades that won, or helped the team win? And here's what it started with. Number 11, Jim Everett to the Rams in 1986. Okay, long time ago. How about recent history? Number 10, Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Steelers in 2019. I got to pull something else up. Hold on. Super Bowl winners wiki. Make sure I have this list in front of me here. Okay. So in 2019, who won the Super Bowl that year?
Was not the Steelers.
Kansas City Chiefs, right?
Yep.
Kansas City Chiefs won. So the Minkah Fitzpatrick deal, the trade to the Steelers, didn't help. How about Jay Ajayi to the Eagles in 2017? Okay, that one jives a little bit because the Eagles won in 2017. So in the annals of the Eagles superstars, Ajayi doesn't really hold up, playing just 14 games for the team over 2.5 seasons. His arrival from Miami Dolphins for a 4th-round draft pick. He did jumpstart the Philadelphia Eagles ground game behind then the MVP candidate, Carson Wentz, and his big play juice paired perfectly with the rougher LeGarrette Blount. This has to be AI written, en route to the Eagles' first Super Bowl victory of that year. So the Eagles won their first ever Super Bowl in 2017. How about number 8, Jimmy Garoppolo to the 49ers in 2017? Did the 49ers win in 17? No, they didn't. That was the New England Patriots, right? Yeah, it was the New England Patriots. How about Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers in 2022? Who won in 2022? Well, that would be the Los Angeles Rams. So that didn't help. How about Ed Dickerson to the Colts in 1987? Well, that year, the New York Giants won. Right? New York Giants won in 1987. How about Von Miller to the Rams in 2021? Well, that one does jive a little bit because the Rams did win in 2021. Didn't they? Yeah. No.
I'm trying to look up the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's technically 2022.
So 21 was Tampa?
No. It's it's actually February 7, 2021, which is the 2020 Super Bowl.
So that'd be
The 21 Super Bowl would be the Rams. And this trade happened. See, it doesn't tell you when the trade actually happened. It just says 2021. So it had to be in season 2021. And the Rams won in 2021. It's just listed as 2022. You know what I'm saying, right? You get it? All right, how about Jalen Ramsey to the Rams in 2019? So in 2019, the Kansas City Chiefs won that year's Super Bowl. So that doesn't jive. How about Marshawn Lynch to the Seahawks in 2010? So that would be the 2011 Super Bowl, which would be the Green Bay Packers. How about Mike Haynes to the Raiders in 1983? That would be the 83.
says that he helped the team win Super Bowl.
Yep. So that one jives all the way back to 84. The Los Angeles Raiders won the Super Bowl January 22nd, 1984, but the move happened in 83. I know it's a little confusing, at least for me anyway. Herschel Walker to the Vikings in 1989. So in 1989, San Francisco 49ers won in 1990. It was January 28, 1990. But the move happened in 89. So San Francisco 49ers, so it didn't happen. Obviously, the Vikings haven't won. Has the Vikings even won a Super Bowl?
Nope. They've been to 4 and never won one. Or 2.
So out of this whole list, you have one recent, which would be Von Miller.
Von Miller, yep.
And that's in the last 5 years. Everything else, I mean, the Jay Ajayi thing, that was in 2017. So let me go back and look at that one again because I think I got that wrong. Yeah, the Eagles won in 2017. So you could call that, but how much did he really help the team?
Yeah, and the two trades, Jimmy Garoppolo and Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers, they didn't win the Super Bowl, either of those.
No.
No.
So I guess there's the answer, right? Do big trades help teams win? And the answer is no. If you're going to go by history, the answer is no. It really doesn't. I'm sorry, but 2 out of 11 over the span of 30, 40, 50 years is not a needle mover for me. It's just not. Maybe I'm different. But anyway, let's get into Dan Campbell. I know you're off at 10 today.
Yeah.
So we got about 6 minutes here. Let's. I'm going to roll Dan Campbell in, and we'll just take a listen here live. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Morning.
As you reflect back on Sunday, what bothered you most about the team performance?
We just didn't play well enough. You know, that's probably what bothered me. I thought we would come out and be a little more crisp, certainly. And we were off. You know, we were a little bit off, really in all 3 phases, and tried to crawl back in that game and just couldn't quite, close it out. So, but listen, you live, you learn, you clean it up, and you move on.
Jared Goff was under duress a lot of that game, and it appeared like most of that pressure was coming up the middle, whether it was blitz or just guys losing matchups. Has the inexperience of the interior of that offensive line, or just the lack of the consistent play, has it limited your guys' ability to call plays? Has it limited the playbook?
Well, look, it's going to take some things out of what you do for sure. You know, but it doesn't take you entirely out of everything. And I know there's some things we can get to a little bit quicker, which is on all of us. But at the same token, we got to be able to protect, man. We can't look. Every team in this league runs freaking cross dog, so we got to be ready for it. We have to handle it. We can be better, and then we can adjust too as coaches. You know, but it's a combination of things. You know, it is. It's everybody being on the same page. It's how you set when you know some of these pick stunts are coming. I mean, it all matters, and it doesn't matter if you're young or if you're a veteran, man. You got to do it right every time, and there's no room for error. So, and then you know when I don't care what quarterback it is, when you hit them enough early, it can have an effect, and then that's the way it goes.
Is offensive line a target today on deadline day?
We've looked there for sure, you know.
What specifically are traits? I'm sure versatility. What are the things you look for?
Anything that we feel like would upgrade us.
How much of those conversations will you be a part of today with Brad Holmes? We've talked a lot about the relationship that you guys have. It feels like, you know, it's one mind. How much of that will you be a part of today?
As long as I'll be a part of it. If he knows that it's somebody that is worth me looking at and the price is right. If the price isn't right, it's not going to happen. And so I don't even want to know about it. I'm trying to get ready for these guys. Like I'm trying to get ready for Washington. So if it's noteworthy, then Brad will bring it to me. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So, you know, we'll see.
O-line trades rarely.
Gonna pause there for just a brief moment. Break this section down section by section. By the way, all the credit to 97.1 The Ticket with their interview here of Dan Campbell. This was Tuesday morning ahead of the trade deadline. If the price ain't right, it ain't gonna happen. The four most famous words that I have said repeatedly. It ain't, in best grammar ever, gonna happen. Been saying it for a long time. I'm going to say it a little bit louder for everybody in the way, way back. The ones that aren't in the chat, the ones that are listening, and the ones that, you know, rip off my content every day. But you don't hear me pounding my chest over it. We just know who you are. It ain't going to happen. Why ain't it going to happen, Eric? Price ain't right. Price is wrong, Bob. Ain't going to happen. So was the price too high? Do you think that maybe they looked at a few guys and the price was too high?
Any GM, any coach that is worth their weight is going to look, they're going to inquire, but they're going to hear the price and say, we're good. So the Detroit Lions are good. For the price that was out there, there was nothing being done. Now, if somebody wanted us to trade for an offensive lineman, a tackle or a guard or a center, you go back for the last 20 years and you do the research, you find out who the last starting offensive lineman was in the last 20 years traded at the deadline, someone that could actually, you know, be a starter on a team. You tell me. Now, I know the Chargers did one for a backup yesterday, but that guy was a backup on the team. He was not a starter. The guy is not some, you know, they acquired Trevor Penning, you know, and that was a minor trade. That was a 6th round pick. That was nothing major. I'm talking a 1st or a 2nd round pick for a offensive lineman. You tell me the last time it happened. It hasn't in the last 20 years. The offensive linemen are the ones that just don't get traded. When you get good ones, you keep them.
Big shout out this morning. Brandy Coffee, a member now for 12 months. Really appreciate you, Brandy. One of the members, one of the mods. Just want to say good morning and a special thank you for all of your work behind the scenes. And then everybody else I missed this morning. Gina, thank you for sending out the 5 Detroit Lions gift memberships. I'm sure those were well received. Giovanni Capolero, $10 super chat. I did miss yours. Says, love the show and the community. I tune in as often as I can. This Lions team is good enough to be a Super Bowl winner. A lot of teams trading right now are making moves out of desperation. We are not that team. So I just want to make sure I don't forget anybody this morning. Greg says, the Rise and Grind, my new flagship for Lions football. Appreciate you. And then send another one in, the jelly donuts, to my friends at Rise and Grind. We'll make sure that we reciprocate the jelly donuts. We'll be giving them to somebody else too. So anyway, thank you to all of you for the fan funding this morning. It's always appreciated. It's not necessary. Always appreciated. Always goes to a good cause. So Dan Campbell on 97 won the ticket. We'll continue here.
Really happened. Why do you
And Eric, if you got a bounce, you just let me know.
think that is, that those positions are so rarely traded for in season?
Well, because they're hard to. It's hard to get rid of them if you're the other team. So if you are, you're going to ask an astronomical amount. Because as the later the season goes, it's hard to find bigs. They don't just fall off trees. So that's normal, especially tackles.
Yeah. We saw Brandon Graham come out of retirement for the Eagles, and Frank was obviously a beloved member of this team. The fans loved him. Has there been any consideration of giving him a call to see if he'd want to finish out the season?
So here's what I know about Frank. If Frank really wanted to, he would be blowing my phone up, and I haven't gotten a text yet. So I think Frank is feeling good about his decision. And look, they just had another baby, so happy for them. And that ship has sailed.
Talking to Lions head coach Dan Campbell.
Okay. You heard it from Dan himself. If Frank wanted to be back, I think you're muted, but if Frank wanted to be back, he would have been back by now. He would have been blowing Dan's phone up. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no possibility. Yeah, they had another baby. I've heard, and I think that, I don't know if Eric said this the other day. I don't know who said it the other day. That maybe Frank has lost a lot of weight, which would make sense. But he can also put on the weight and go hit the weight room for about 3 weeks, and he'll be right back in it. He's not going to forget football. The muscle memory's still going to be there. If Frank went and hit it hard for 3 weeks, he could be right back in this thing, depending on how much weight he has to add. And quite honestly, he would probably be the best version of himself if he did come in 20 pounds light. He'll still be able to move men. So there's always a possibility, but I would say it's slim to none.
I'm going to say that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
And he had too many injuries to begin with, and that's the whole reason that he went the route that he did. He wants to be able to walk again normally in a couple of years, and he enjoys fishing and going outdoors and doing that kind of stuff. He's set for money. I don't think any amount of money is going to get him to come back out of retirement.
I'm right there with you. So no Frank. And then the biggest thing is to bring in one of these guys. I mean, you got to move mountains to bring in a mountain. Not only is it going to cost a ton, but it's going to cost a ton more because these guys just don't, like he said, they don't come on trees, man. They don't fall off trees. They're not grown on trees. It's just like the edge position. A left tackle and an edge are like in the same boat. They're rare, right? They're rare to find elite ones. They're rare to even find the guys in the top 15, 20 of the league. And so if you wanted to find another top 20, even 30 left tackle to come and give you something better than what you have now, it's going to be really hard to find. The name I floated out, Brandon Scherf, which I think he's retired. Could he still come out of retirement? Possibly. But again, you don't know. You don't know what shape he's in.
Yeah. What was Brad Holmes' very first draft pick?
What's that?
Tackle. Brad Holmes' very first draft pick in the first round.
Of 26?
Of 21.
Oh, yeah.
His very first draft pick, Penei Sewell.
Yep. And it's going to be again next year in 26. It's going to be a tackle.
Yeah. And then what was his first round pick the next season? An edge. Those are the two positions that you have to have right, and you take them at the top of the draft, and you take the best one available. Those are the guys that you're not going to get off the scrap heap. It's just not going to happen. The quality ones you have to draft at the top of the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll continue forward.
Pressure is there to keep up with other teams at the trade deadline, like Philadelphia reigning champs? They go out and add a pass rusher. How much of that is something the organization has to consider today?
I'll be honest with you, that's never crossed my mind. What you just said is trying to keep up with somebody in a trade war. You didn't word it that way. I shouldn't say that, but I don't see it that way. Look, they made moves that they feel like is good for them, and it was worth it for them. And that's good, man. To each team his own, but we're going to do what we feel like is right for us and the right fit at the right price with the right guys. And we've always been that way. I mean, we're not changing our stripes.
In the absence of any additions today, what does the depth look like on the offensive line? Is it Coyote that's going in there at left guard? And we saw Taylor Decker get nicked up a little bit. How's he doing, and your expectations of him being able to play against Washington?
Well, it seemed a little more positive as of last night, as to he and Panay both, but I still don't know for sure. I see Yodi. I see Cologne getting some reps at guard, maybe center as well. I mean, we may mix some things up here and move some guys around a little bit. I'm still thinking through all this while I'm getting ready for these guys and game planning. But and then, we got Neese on vet squad. We got Cochran on vet squad. We got Kingsley on vet squad. So we've got options here, and it's about finding the right combination of guys, really, and then just letting them cut it loose, get used to each other, and freaking play relentless, hard-nosed, finishing football.
As you try and find that combination of five that gives you the best chance to win against Washington, any conversation, because we know that it happened during training camp with Tate Ratledge playing a little bit of center. Has he still been working at there behind the scenes, or is he just you want a young guy to focus in on one position?
Yeah, I would say I want Ratledge just to hone in on guard right now. Once we decided to make that move, he still takes snaps, but really it's about, man, he needs to improve at the right guard position. He has to get better at it, and he is, and he will.
A lot of talk about the offensive line. I want to flip over to defense. Kirby Joseph, that knee injury, is it maybe more severe than you guys initially thought? What's the update on him as the week gets going here?
Well, the irritation is not going away as fast as we had hoped. So there is improvement, but it's just not quite there yet. And we're not going to force this thing until we get it as calm down as we possibly can, because we don't want to if we can keep from it, we don't want to have to revisit this every week once he comes back. Now, maybe that happens anyway, whenever he comes back. But yeah, we were hoping it would resolve itself a little bit quicker or cleaner. It's just not there yet.
You guys have been so good against the run up until Sunday with Minnesota. What were some of the challenges you guys had of stopping Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason?
Man, just everybody doing their job, fitting your gap, man. We've done such a great job, but there again, no.
I wanted to pause there. I didn't want to get too far out, but I was trying to type at the same time. The thing that he just mentioned about Kirby Joseph is a bit concerning. That the knee's not getting better, and the inflammation is still there. We don't know if they're treating it with cortisone. We don't know if they're treating it with Toradol. I assume yes to both, for pain and for inflammation. But there's only so much of that you can do. Steroids are terrible for your body. I'm on steroids every day, and I've seen what it's done to me. It's not good. And I get a localized injection is a bit different than systemic steroid use, but in steroids from the perspective of cortisone, not illegal steroids. It's concerning because it's not going to go away. And it's not going to go away this season because he's going to have to continue to play on it. if it's not fully healed, again, I'm going to go back to why did you give him a big contract? If you knew he had a knee issue, why did you do it? He was already under contract. Now, I get it. You probably wanted to get ahead of it, just like all of the rest of the contracts. You wanted to be first so that you didn't have to pay way too much. But now you're paying way too much for a guy that's not playing as well as he could be, for a guy that's not playing as often as he should be. Maybe next year that changes. I wouldn't have done it. I said it in the offseason. I wouldn't have done it. I would not have signed him to a big deal like that. It's kind of blowing up in their face right now. A little bit. It's not, I'm not going to overblow it. What was the other thing out that he said in there about, gosh, now I forget. Anyway, your take on Kirby while I try to remember what he just said.
Kirby, I'm fine with letting him sit out a couple weeks. I think we've done not stellar, but we're getting by without Kirby. So if he has to sit for a week or two, I'm fine with that. He's already sat for 2 weeks. So I think we'll be just fine against Washington without him. I'm going to have to get running.
Mm-hmm.
But before I go, there was one little thing I wanted to talk about, and that is Terrion Arnold. So when he got introduced with the defense this week, 3/4 of the stadium cheered for him, and I'm going to say about 1/4 of them were booing him when he came out. And I did not care for that. And there's a reason why. Since week 4, Terrion Arnold has allowed a 38.1 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks. That is second best among all NFL corners. He's been the second best corner for the last 4 weeks since week 4 in the NFL when he's played. So
On what metric?
Passer rating allowed.
Gotcha.
He's at 38.1. So people aren't throwing too much on him right now. And he's been a pretty lockdown corner. He hasn't been getting the flags the last couple of games. And he got his first interception. He should have had 2 this year, if not for one being called back on penalty. So I think Terrion's having a much better season than people are thinking. And he had a shoulder injury. He also had a hamstring injury this year. So he's now looking healthy. And I think he's going to be amazing going through the rest of the season. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to Terrion Arnold as my last 30 seconds for the day. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow.
All right, buddy. Have a good day. And I echo the same sentiment, man. I didn't hear the boos where I was, but yeah, that's BS. Have a good day, man. We'll see you. As soon as I can figure out where the hell my thing is. There we go. Oh, that's not the right one either. Gosh, I really need my... There we go. Need my scenes back. Okay, so I totally forgot what Dan was saying. But Kirby, I mean, he's been out since... Like, his last game played was... Gosh, Kansas City? Right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he sat week 7, week 8, we had the bye. Week 9, so he's been down for at least 3 weeks now. And if it's still a problem after 3 weeks, that's concerning. So even if he sits a 4th week, not 4 games, 4 weeks, that essentially gives him, well, let's just see. That would be, pull up a calendar. So if he doesn't play this weekend, let's say he gets back the next weekend. And he practices midweek. That'll be 31 days between the time that he last played or practiced and potentially until he practices midweek on a Wednesday before the November 16 game. I think the game's November 16 or 15 or 17, whenever it is. Anyway, I'll come back to this Dan Campbell thing. There was something else that he had said that I had missed, but anyway, we'll keep going.
What were some of the challenges you guys had of stopping Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason?
Man, just everybody doing their job, fitting your gap, man. We've done such a great job, but there again, no different than on offense or O-line play or run game or, man, the defense, everybody fills their gap and one guy gets out of it and it kills you. And then it hits the second line, we miss a tackle. So it's really 3 of those runs is one guy here, one guy there. And really 3 of the runs was really one guy. So we'll get that cleaned up. It'll be addressed. It's been addressed. It'll be addressed again. And, you can't be a liability when it comes to the run game, because that's what we cannot allow. We have to be able to run the football, and we have to stop the run on defense.
Each and every day, Fanatics Casino lets you play fan cash $10 in
business works.
I won't.
Is this for KJ? It's for
Dan Campbell. Anything extra with Washington this week?
No, what do you mean? Extra?
Like just, that you guys played them in the playoffs and maybe it's a game you would have circled, plus trying to bounce back from last week. Just, is there anything extra?
No, look, this is about getting back on our feet. We earned that loss against Minnesota. They came in, they played well, they did everything right, we did everything wrong. Doesn't mean that we didn't have guys play good in spurts, some better than others, but in the totality, we didn't coach, including me. I didn't coach well enough. And we didn't play well enough. So, man, this is about getting back on our feet, and let's play good winning football. That's all we need to worry about right now. The other stuff, it's irrelevant. Let's get back to the basics of what we do, the fundamentals, the technique, and let's go compete.
One more for me, Dan. When you're looking at the offense, we'll flip back to that side. 3rd downs have been an issue, and some of it is down in distance, being better on 1st and 2nd down. But in the last couple of years, that number 3 receiver has been key in being able to convert some of those 3rd downs. He's been a target. Isaac Tesla, are you looking to get him more involved, especially in some of those 3rd down situations?
I'd like to get him on the field a little bit more. We came out of the bye and there was a couple of things that we noticed, and wanted to get Leaf more involved. And we didn't necessarily get that going last week, but we need to get. We need to get Leaf involved. We need to get Tesla involved. And so much of that is, it's like the perfect storm, because talk about 3rd down. Well, you convert, now you can get more touches for everybody, and then that helps everybody. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to get him on the field a little bit more. He's doing a good job for us on special teams, which is exactly one of the roles we envisioned him on, and then growing in the receiver position. So yeah, I mean, certainly I see him playing a little bit more on offense this week than he did last week.
Dan, last one for me. I know you talked about coming out of bye week and trying to get this thing going. If you could just speak to the sense of urgency you guys feel with this stretch coming up right now.
Well, look, there is a sense of urgency. Everything's out in front of us, and there's so much football left. Man, our crew, our guys, they know what this is all about, and there's not one guy that left that locker room or came in yesterday that didn't feel crappy about the way that went down. But we also know, you stare in the mirror and it's on us. We did that to ourselves, and we're not going to go in the tank. We're not going to lose confidence. We go back to work, we clean it up, and we come out and play better. And that's what we're going to do this week. So, man, that's the mindset. You move forward.
All right. Last year when we had you on at the deadline, Zadarius was breaking mid-interview. Last chance to break some trade deadline news with us.
What about Zadarius?
I said I think last year we had you on right around the time that deal was becoming official. I was joking. If you had any last-minute opportunity to break some news with us here, let us know. But obviously we'll stay tuned for 4 o'clock today.
Yeah, well, my athlete's foot is gone.
Breaking news siren. We'll make sure to update everybody.
Been itching like hell.
Oh my God, Dan Campbell. You know what? You know what? That's a good parody right there, because all the noise, right? All of the noise out there right now, especially since last night, it's like having a bad case of athlete's foot, man. Nothing but jock itch to me. That's what it is. You ain't nothing but jock itch to me. That's hilarious, Dan Campbell. That's hilarious. Oh man, what a good way to end. What a good way to end a segment with 97.1 The Ticket there. Dan Campbell with Costa, Jansen, and Heather. That's good stuff. Look, he didn't say anything that we didn't expect. I know a lot of you maybe expected a little bit more. And I mean, even for myself, look, I expected offensive line to be addressed somehow. But again, if you listen and pay attention to the things that I say each and every day, which I know is hard to do, I don't think that we've ever wavered, or I don't think that I've ever wavered. I'll speak just about myself on the fact that these moves are difficult to make. There's a reason why. We tried to look up some stats today, couldn't find it. So I really wanted to find the trade deadline moves over the last 5 years or so. And it was tough. It was tough for me to find right away. I didn't have enough time to keep on digging. But, you know, the fact that we had the most trade deadline moves this year and it beat last year, that should say something. Right? That should absolutely tell you that not a whole lot's going on. When you have 18 or 22 moves, right? That's in-season moves. That's not just yesterday. That's the entire in-season from week 1 of the NFL till yesterday. 22 moves. 32 teams. That's 2/3, right? As many teams you had as moves. And last year it was only 18 from the numbers that I read. I'm pretty sure it's factual. The year before that in 23 was even less. 22 was less than that. There's just not a lot of moves that are made in season. So for people to sit here and cry about it and say, well, the Lions just aren't doing enough to win, they're not all in. Or, you know, I've read comments that have said they just don't care about this season, or they're unserious. They're unserious about this year. I think they're very serious. I think that what you're seeing here is just a team that is trying to deal with a multitude of different aspects of an NFL season. One, you have to maintain health. If you can't maintain the health on your team, it's going to be tough to win football games. Two, you can't play the hindsight is always 2020 game. You can't. And not to call somebody else out in the chat, but someone had made a comment. I think it was Justin. Let me go back, Justin. Like talking about Rakestraw, you know, how he can't stay available or on the field. And I get it, right? That is a pain for us as Lions fans to think, man, we wasted a second-round pick. Or, that's one way to say it, or our second-round pick hasn't worked out yet. Or the way I look at it is this. Would our second-round pick have even been on the field unless we suffered injuries? That's where the second-round pick on Ennis Rakestraw would have been a huge benefit this year. That's how I look at it. So I get and respect what you're saying, like maybe it was a wasted pick because he hasn't been able to stay healthy. However, if he was healthy, Ennis Rakestraw would have been playing the last 4 or 5 weeks. And he's a pretty good corner. He's a physical corner. And he's only going to get better. Yeah, it sucks that he has to sit out. And I'm sure he's getting better mentally right now as far as learning the game. He has the physical tool set. He has the speed. He has the ability to play. Any moment that he's had to play, he's done pretty well. So that's how I look at it. I look at it from the perspective that, man, we needed that pick. Why? Because we just lost our top 2 corners for the better part of 4 weeks. And longer with DJ Reed. That's why that pick made sense. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't have done something a little bit different. However, prior to that draft and during free agency, I said one thing was going to happen. The Lions were going to double down on corners in free agency and in the draft. And they did that. So I wasn't surprised by it. I did not expect a second-round pick to be spent after a first-round pick on a corner. I would have thought that maybe they would have taken one in the 3rd or the 4th even and doubled down that way. But I didn't expect Ennis Rakestraw. Yeah, I probably would have done something a little different with where I would have taken that second. But again, we don't know what we don't know about Ennis Rakestraw because he hasn't been able to stay on the field. But I think that we can agree now, had he been healthy, that was a perfect pick. The reason why it leaves a bad taste in fans' mouth is because he hasn't been healthy and he hasn't been able to help this team. And that kind of burns you a little bit. So I get it. I respect it. I get it. Greg says, Lions are more healthy than last year with a question mark. Are you asking, or is that based on what I said earlier? I think that we are more healthy this year. Clearly. I'd have to go in and look at all of the different picks. I'm sorry, all the different injuries and who was on injured reserve then and now and weight it. But I would say that when you lose Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Davenport, Malcolm Rodriguez, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes. Who else am I missing right off the get? We lost to plenty of guys during training camp. So yeah, we lost, 2/3 of our defense. The only part of our defense that was even remotely healthy last year was the secondary. And so this year it's been everybody but the front 7. It's been the back 4 or 5. DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch has stayed healthy, just got suspended 1 game. So yeah, Vontae Maddox is banged up. So it's a different type of injury situation. But we lost way more last year than we did this year. And I say that from the perspective of valuable, high-profile football players. I mean, you lost your top 2 defenders, in the front of that defense. And then to lose Alex Anzalone was huge. Jack Campbell stayed healthy. That was about the only good thing that came out of that. Too many guys lost last year. I mean, we were on the backs of backups. You missed tape review? All right, let's get one done. We'll get one done. It's been a wild couple weeks, U of M Dad. I've had, the health things that I've been dealing with. Travel. Just been it's not adding up. Not adding up for me, but I can get one done. I got some other things I got to get done today too. Yeah, 24 guys, then Amik. Is that the final number from last year? I mean, that was at the end of the season, right? So yeah, that was crazy. But I'm talking mid-season last year. Here, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find it real quick, and then I gotta jump out. Got a couple of calls, couple of meetings today I got to get to. I don't know who's trying to call this morning, but I'm not taking calls this morning. Let me just see who it is real quick. Never mind, they hung up. Okay, so going back and looking at the injury timeline from last season, weeks 1 through 4, the Lions lost Marcus Davenport, David Bada. He was placed on IR before week 1. Nobody cares about Michael Badgley. That was before week 1. Jake Burton, offensive lineman, he was put on IR early in the season. But we lost John Kaminsky right after training camp started, and he was put on IR after cuts. So right there is 3 guys to the defensive line, 1 to the offensive line. All but 1 of them, or 2 of them were starters, right? Or valuable rotation pieces, Kaminsky and Davenport. And then midseason, weeks 5 through 10. This can't be totally right because it doesn't even have Aiden Hutchinson listed on it. But Alex Anzalone, was that versus the Cowboys, week 5? Terry and Arnold, I don't remember losing him. But Carlton Davis, Taylor Decker, he's had that. Yeah, this isn't totally right. I'm gonna have to do some research. I can't trust Jeff here to give me the right answer. Yeah, it's all over the place. Here, I know where I can look. It just takes forever to go through this, but let me go through the transactions from last year. Okay, so back in August, we'll start August of 2024. August 27, the Lions waived David Bada due to injury. Broderick Martin placed on IR. Emmanuel Mosley placed on IR. Christian Mahogany was on NFI. So that was right after 53 cuts. And then, or during 53 cuts. John Kaminsky on 8/29, he was placed on injured reserve. So there's 1. Broderick Martin and David Bada, that's 2. Now, that's 3. So Broderick Martin would have been a backup. Bada would have been a backup on rotation, potentially. Kaminsky would have been on rotation. So that's 3 players that should have been around or on the practice squad. And then we waived Chris Smith for whatever reason. Kyle Pecco, he was lost. Gosh, he was lost early. All right, so 9/24. The Lions put Derek Barnes, Marcus Davenport on injured reserved. Fetu Melifanu was put on injured reserve on 9/28. So there's like 6 players so far. On 10/15, the Lions added Aiden Hutchinson and Kyle Pecco to injured reserve. 10/22, we released Traquan Smith from injured reserve. We got Mahogany back from injured reserve on 10/29. Jalen Reeves-Maben was placed on injured reserve on 11/9. So that's like 10 guys already. On 11-18, Alex Anzalone was on injured reserve. Cleve Raymond went on injured reserve on 11-27. And then 11-30, Malcolm Rodriguez, Mekhi Wingo went to injured reserve. It just seems like even their transactions appear to be missing some things, because I'm almost positive before the halfway point of the season and before the trade deadline, we had already lost like 15 or 16 players at least between training camp and the midway point, and it just doesn't seem like it all adds up here. But I don't think I really need to go into a deep explanation here. You guys know what happened last year. We're nowhere close to where we were last year. So I think that there's, even less reason to have to move. I am concerned about the O-line. I think that we all should be. But they're going to have to find a way. And I'm going to end with this. Yes, I still believe that John Morton is a bigger problem than I think what's being led on to believe by a lot of people. I really believe that his inability to create, motivate, maybe. The guys don't seem energetic. They don't seem happy. They don't seem... I mean, last year at this time, when you looked at any one of these guys in the face or, during a game, they looked unstoppable. They had that glow like we got this. Like, no one can touch us. That was the conversation last year. No one's going to stop us. I don't care what game we're going into. This offense can go win. And that was on the backs of backups on the defense. At least I didn't have any concerns. I still said that we were going to win every week. No matter what happened with that defense, the offense was going to score enough points. It didn't matter. And that happened all weeks but 2. And that was 1 week early in the season. And then when did we lose the second game last year? Who was our second loss last year? It was probably some stupid game we shouldn't have lost, wasn't it? Typically, it's the Bills. That's right. The Bills, the boat race. So that was a game, obviously, the defense couldn't do anything. You can't let up 48 points. And this year, it doesn't seem the same. And I would say that it's not because of just the coordinators. But then again, it's the coordinator. I don't think that John Morton is doing enough to be different and get all of these guys involved. There's a reason why I called Ben the mixologist. He was able to mix and layer plays to kind of hide your identity, so to speak, of this is what our bread and butter is. This is what we do well. Everybody knows what we do well. But Ben was still able to kind of finesse it enough to hide it, right? To disguise it. Johnny doesn't seem to be doing any of that. It's like he's just throwing a dart. All right, run this. All right, run that. All right, run this. All right, go run that. That didn't work. Run this. Instead of, this is what's working. Let's keep on feeding it. Right? And then mix something in to kind of throw everybody off. Throw in a freaking trick play. If you can't get shit working, man, you got to mix it up. You got to get the defense, off the balls of their feet. Because you got to get them on their heels. When they're on the balls of their feet, man, they're pitched. They're running downhill at you. So Johnny Morton better figure it out. I got a hot take later on today, like I do each and every day. It's going to come out in a video. I'm going to do a few videos today. I have to. I got to get these things off my chest, and I got to clear I got a video sheet that is like 150 videos long. I'll go in and create all the thumbnails, and I'll never finish the video because I get dragged into something else. And I get so damn busy. But I'm going to pump it back up, man. We're going to get things rolling. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Have a good day. There is one offensive tackle that I think is still leaking out there a little bit that could help this team. And I'm going to talk about him here in just a couple of hours. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. And then hopefully, if the world works right today, I'm starting something new. And you'll see it tomorrow morning. But it won't be here. It'll be somewhere else. So you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. Appreciate all the support to all the members, mods, obviously the subscribers, all the donations, you name it. You guys have always been the best part of this channel. Always will be. There's only one reason that I started it. And there's multiple reasons why I'm going to finish it. And you're surrounded around all of that. So again, thank you for all the support. Keep doing you. We'll see you guys in the morning. Take care. Go One Pride. Adios.
Pressured by Hutchinson.